mucus-free. We are 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 mucus-free.
What's going on, brothers and sisters, and welcome to the Mucus-free Life podcast. And it has been a little time. I know that it's been several weeks, months since we had a podcast episode, and I'm so happy to be back. I'm very, very excited. We have a lovely, lovely guest on in a few. We'll be bringing on Suga Rashad Evans, and going to talk about some serious, like what it takes to practice the Mucusless Diet Healing System as an athlete, and having all kinds of people in your ear talking about, you know, you need protein and this, or how do you get that, and all that kind of stuff. And we're just going to bust down all of those lies and just all that kind of stuff. But yeah, one of the main reason that you haven't seen me in a couple months is because at the end of December, I had a very, very close family member that got very, very ill and ended up in the emergency room, and then followed by a very long hospital stay and still in rehab at a nursing home facility. And, you know, she started having serious problems a week and a half after getting, I don't know, am I allowed to say boost? You know, with the censorship on here is insane. She had a particular procedure that they were trying to, give everybody for free. And a week after that, and I'm not saying that that's what it was. I'm just saying that it's real curious that she never had any of these symptoms before having this procedure, and from doctors' offices and hospitals and all that kind of stuff. But this kind of forced me back in that environment. And so first it transported me back to like when I, 10 years old, and just in this place of just pain and suffering and death, and so much of it being unnecessary. And one of the things there was a couple things I was going to share with you. One of them is this: I took a couple pictures of the wonderful meals that are made with so much love at the hospitals. Like, somebody's sick, trying to heal, and this is what they're giving somebody, and somebody that's diagnosed with pneumonia, excess mucus in the lungs. We all know about that. And this just, I don't know if that was chicken or this is what was there: thickened apple juice with all kinds of chemicals and stuff in it. This was another thing, some kind of chicken concoction or something like that. And eventually we got her into like at least bringing that. Now, I wanted to bring fruit in and kind of just bring whatever, but she just really wanted to deal with the hospital stuff so that they would record everything and she would get credit for eating this and this kind of stuff. I was like, all right, but we'll do what we need to do. But you really have to get this, because this is supposed to come with cottage cheese. To get that just with the fruit, you have to like really fight with these dietitians and the doctors and the food people and that kind of stuff, because they're like clueless if you tell them like, can just you have vegan options or any what about fruit or vegetables? It's like there's nothing like this is we finally got something fresh, but that was, and this isn't even that great, certainly not organic, but this is normal. Like, why would you give somebody that's sick pudding with like, it's absolutely ridiculous. And so I'm gonna be talking more about this in the future. I'm gonna do some videos about this, and because I just can't. I can't deal with that anymore. So one other thing I wanted to show you guys, and we're gonna bring Rashad on Oh, here. So this kind of blew me away. Now, we were playing this in the Mucus-free meetup the other day. So this is, so first, so we know that there's a lot of reports of athletes that are out of nowhere falling down with heart issues for some reason. We don't know why, but all of a sudden there's heart issues and there's all kinds of things, and they're falling down, and some of them are dying. I'm not sure if it has anything to do with that particular procedure that I was talking about earlier, but all I know, and that's, so unfortunately, this young man falls down. Now, what gets me, what's going on with the kids? Nobody's going over to ask him, like, how you doing? What's going on? Hey, calling a teacher over, starting to administer some kind of first aid. Look at these kids. What is going on? They turning me into that old man talking mess about the young people, but we never would have did as bad as they said we were. If somebody fell down, we're going to go over and check them out and say, hey, man, you all right? This guy, boom, just checking his phone, walk on by. Don't worry about this guy. Yeah, is he okay? He's just kind of looking kind of dumbfounded. This guy walks over gingerly, and obviously, I mean, maybe he has a broken neck. Let's just turn him over real quick. Like they haven't had any kind of first aid training. What do they teach? What are you teaching them? If you're not going to know like the basics of first aid, what are you doing there? And they're just walking around in a circle. Then they bring in the folks and treat them for shock and all that kind of stuff. And like I said, I don't know about what he did prior to that. I was more commenting on, I just can't believe these kids, like what's going on? They just totally out of it. But it's sad. It's a sad situation. And you already know I did the video on the injury, the procedure injury video, and I got a blog post that has over 120 case studies of people that were perfectly healthy, had this particular procedure, and then had some massive issues. And you can check that. Now, for a little levity, we'll watch just another day at Walmart, just another day in Pus and Mucus World Walmart, where we got somebody who is having a time. And a lot of people say, and I try to explain to people, like, look, this world it comes out of and is based on this pus and mucus type of eating world. But people don't understand that unless you get away from eating like that, you have no clue that this is coming from that, that this is coming out of, or I should say, the behavior, this terrible behavior that you see. If you see bad behavior, then ask, well, what were they eating? That should be the first question. What were they eating? And until now, that has not been the general first question, but it is what it is. So, quick announcement. On this Tuesday, I will be having my next mucus-free live training webinar. We're talking about how to remove mucoid plaque out of the body. And thank you for all of the pictures. I get a lot of pictures from people that remove this nasty mucoid plaque out of their bodies, and it was like, man, we didn't know this was in there, and people said it's fake, but now I know it's not. It's like, no, it's not fake. It's very real. But we're going to be talking about that and a lot of other things that I can't talk about here on YouTube. So sign up for that. And right now, just click that link. They're down below or in the chat. Sign up, and I will see you on Tuesday. And there's a Q&A section. So if you've ever had a bunch of questions for me, this would be your opportunity to come and get, just have a little dialogue with me. So without any further ado, I want to bring on the one, the only Suga Rashad Evans. was the former light heavyweight champion of the UFC, heavyweight winner of the Ultimate Fighter Season 2, UFC Hall of Fame inductee, and is currently an ESPN commentator. And several years ago, he went through some remarkable transformations that we're going to talk with him about right now. So, Rashad, what is going on?
What's going on, man? A big fan. I've been following you for years, man. When I first started to change over everything, my diet and everything, you were one of the ones I was looking at, trying to get information and learning.
I appreciate that, man. Yeah, means a lot. So, tell us a little bit about the origin story. When did you start to go in this direction and why? What was that initial inspiration?
Yeah, it was it was about 3.5, almost 4 years ago. And, I was just newly retired. And, during training or during when I trained for a fight, I'll have a pretty clean diet, but it wouldn't be like the very cleanest diet, but I would do it just because, I had a fight coming up. But then when I got done, I would just eat anything, I would just eat anything. And I would just like binge eat. And I was a few months retired and I'm just sitting around. I'm just like, dude, I can't live like this. I can't live like this because I wasn't feeling good. My energy was low. I was kind of feeling like I was getting a little bit pre-diabetic. Like I would just, wake up and my mouth tastes like alcohol and just kind of like weird things that I thought that I didn't really like. So I was like, I need to make a change in my life. And, I decided that I needed to start eating a little cleaner, but it didn't really come to me until like I had an experience, with some magic mushrooms, and it kind of gave me a download. It told me like, you feel like trash because of what you eat. And it said, if you specifically, if you eat death, you become death. If you want life, you got to eat life. And I was like, that is really, really strange that I had a kind of, I guess, a download hit me like that. So I just brushed it off as like nothing, right? Like, just maybe something that, just happened. But then I lost my taste. Like I lost my taste for meat. I lost my taste for meat, and I just didn't want to have meat in my body anymore. Then all of a sudden, like I stopped eating it, and I started feeling pretty good not eating it. And then like I started to, read more about like the kind of foods and stuff that I should eat, because I was eating a lot of vegetables and stuff at the time. And then I read Arnold Ehret's book about the, about eating fruit, and then about, mucusless diet. And I was following Dr. Sabi, things like that. So I kind of started to really go down the path of just, conscious eating and just being, totally aware of every single thing that I put into my body, and the more I started doing that, the easier it became. The hardest thing for me at the time was being able to find those kind of go-to meals that I was used to having once I was eating anything, but once I found meals that I can eat that, gave me great energy, but at the same time made me feel satisfied, then I was good. I didn't look back or miss meat anymore. But then like the funniest thing started to happen, like, physiologically, it was like my body started changing in ways that it seems almost as if it's like, it was almost like supernatural, like as if like I was gaining a sixth sense. Like, I became very light sensitive, to the point where, the sun felt different to me, water tasted different to me. Like a lot of different things that I normally didn't notice started to really, change and everything. Air, it felt different when I breathed in. It felt as if like, part of my sinuses or something like that, it kind of unclogged. It felt as if like, and around the same time, I started to feel as if like my pineal gland started to declassify, and I can feel it. I can feel it, and it became very energy sensitive to the point where I would like hold objects up like a phone or something like that had an energy source, and I can feel it, and I was feeling crystals and all kinds of stuff that I never even thought had any kind of significance. And I'm like, oh, this is what a crystal feels like, and this what this one feels like. And it got really crazy to the point where I thought I was losing my mind for a little bit, because I would have these sensations that was happening to me as if like I'm gaining a sixth sense, but I really couldn't explain it to anybody, because not like no one that I knew had that feeling or understood what that feeling was, or even heard anybody even speak about it, so I was for a long time just thinking like maybe I'm just imagining all this stuff happening, but I'm like, I was literally feeling energy, all over the place and on everything that I never even thought was even possible. It was absolutely mind blowing, but it was a high vibrational foods that I was eating, and I was having like these crazy vivid dreams, and it was just it was an awakening, because not only that, my interest in everything started to change, and the kind of music I listened to started to change, and just a lot of different things that I was as a person, I wasn't anymore. I didn't drink any alcohol anymore, and I didn't want to put anything into my body that wasn't natural. So it was it was such a complete 180 from where I was at, complete 180 from where I was at, and to be in this in that place that I thought like really was just for like people trying to sell a product, oh, that's that foo-foo garbage that they're just trying to sell something. I didn't really think that it was real, so when I started experiencing it, I was bugging out for the longest time, and I really didn't know how to take it all in. So that was the beginning of my experience, but I've been able to just continue to keep that going, because I don't eat like now, like my diet, people say, oh, how do you keep eating like that now? And I'm like, I eat for a feeling. There's a certain feeling that you get when you eat a certain way. And the minute you eat something that isn't that way, you feel it. Your body becomes so in tune with your body and what goes in it, so I like the feeling that I get when I eat these foods. So for me, it's easy to maintain a diet.
Yeah, man, that's really interesting. And I know there's a number of people in the community that had awakenings, because I don't know a whole lot about the mushrooms and the ayahuasca and that kind of stuff. We got some members of the community that talk about like that was something that where they were way far out just in their lifestyle, and just basically eating themselves to death, and then they had an experience like that, and that woke them up, and then it was like Mucusless Diet, and then they just needed that one time, that spark, and then they got into the diet, and it was like, oh, and that's so that's interesting to me.
Yeah, man, it was crazy, because I never even would have thought that anything like that would come across my mind, because I mean, I love my meats, I love my porks, I loved it all, and I didn't care. I used to look at people who didn't eat meat like, what's wrong with you? My daughter, she went vegan, and I was like, oh my gosh, when she did it, I just couldn't believe it. I'll tease her about it and all that kind of stuff. But then when I was going through it, I'm just like, man, it was one of those experiences that just completely just changed my life, and just how my body started to change. I mean, as an athlete, I was so into it, I started to even go down the path of being a breatharian, you know what I'm saying? But I was still training a lot, doing a lot of like breath holds, and just really learning how to savor every single breath, because breathing, it felt good to breathe. You know what I'm saying? And like breathing in the sun, that felt absolutely amazing to me.
Yeah. And that's because like what you're talking about, you're exactly right. It's very hard to explain that feeling to people that have never had it, or they just, because most people, the only way they can relate to that kind of feeling is like getting a high or, doing some kind of drugs or something like that. And, and like what you're talking about, see, I experienced a lot of that when I would do long fast. Now I don't promote long fast. I don't tell people, just tell people read the Mucusless Diet book, check out the rational fasting methodologies. But I've personally done really long fast, and I would have those kind of experiences like where it's like the telepathy turns back on. You can see the past, present, and future. You feel like you just out of body type of, you're in your body, but it's out of body experience. I mean, it's just all that thing. And what I noticed too is there's a point where you clean yourself up enough that never leaves you. Even when you do go back to eating things, it's like, unless you eat really poorly and you eat something that's too not good, something too far down the rung, then you're going to go back to feeling terrible like you did before. And you're like, oh, okay, I can't eat that no more. Gotta remember that. But yeah, so talk a little bit about, the diet when you started working out and sort of that experience of how the diet has affected your performance and your working out and training regimen.
It's given me cardio that I never would have even imagined that I could even possess. What I like to do is, I like to fast like the first 17 hours, you know what I'm saying? So I don't eat until after my first workout, I'll have like some water or like, some tea before I go train, maybe like some Shilajit before I go work out. And then I'll hit a workout, but then afterwards I'll do like some juicing. I'll make a huge big old juice, like maybe like 32 ounces or something like that. And I'll sit there and eat that, and sit there and drink that. And that'll leave me full for a while, but then I'll start snacking, having some like bananas and some dates. And because now I'm trying to stack up on some energy so I can have my afternoon workout, so I kind of put I'll have like some melons. I'll have like the heavier fruits, the heavier fruits right before I get ready to do that. Have a lot of dates or some figs or whatever. And then I'll hit my next workout. Then after that workout is done, then I'll have like a nice, like a fruit salad or something like that, or even have like some greens, like some spinach or something like that. Just something very hearty. And then I'll have like, after that's all digested, I'll snack until I don't really want to snack anymore, because because it's usually like fruit and stuff like that. But I like to go to bed if my stomach is kind of empty. So I stop eating around like maybe 8:30 or so, and maybe 9, because I go to sleep kind of late. Maybe and then I'll keep on drinking distilled water throughout the day, and it's got to be distilled water, Yeah. So
yeah.
Yeah. So
people get so mad about, they're just so like emotional about water, and they're like, what type of water? And I'm like, man, it's just distilled water.
Yeah.
Like, I don't care what you drink.
Yeah.
No, you're supposed to, like, sorry.
Yeah, they want you to put the to go for the whole like alkaline water and all that stuff.
But, yeah, right.
I like the distilled water. I put some spirulina in that, and that maintains me throughout the day. Spirulina, it acts as almost as if like it gives me like a third lung for some reason. Like I can just I can go without training for probably about a month, a few weeks, not training hard, but then step into the gym and train at the level that some of these guys are training for, that's getting ready for a fight, and not gas out at all. And it's because of the fuel that I'm burning is so clean. Because I used to not be like that at all, not one bit. Not one bit. I'll go 5 minutes and I'll be absolutely dog dead tired. But now I'll put some time on the clock and just forget it's even there and just keep on going.
Yeah. Just a couple clips. Clips up under you. So, you get a little workout in.
Yeah. So I mean, and it's cool. What's so cool is because I did lose some muscle mass, but at the same time, I'm not lifting weights like I used to, and things like that, you know. So I do like a more or less like body weight workouts and stuff like that. And for me, like training myself is lifting weights, because the guys that I train with, these guys are big guys, you know. Like the guy that I train is Greg Hardy. And in off season, he's like well over 300 pounds.
Right.
And that's the guy who I got to push around and move around, you know. So, you know, I'm not really too worried about how small I look on the outside. And that was something that kind of was an ego blow to me, you know, because people are like, oh man, you look kind of small. And I'm just like, you know, for a while I would kind of maybe a little insecure about it, but then I'm like, I'm okay with it. You know what I'm saying? Because now I understand that I don't need to looking big doesn't mean anything. You know, being big doesn't mean anything. It's how healthy are you? You know, what are the life of your cells like? You know what I'm saying? Like, what is your lymphatic system like? You know what I'm saying? Like, what is all the important things that truly matter about body health? Like, what is that in your body?
Yeah. Exactly. You know, as Ehret says, vitality equals power minus obstruction. You know, that weight and all this, you know, the muscles, and that's something that it seems like MMA guys know, whereas most of them don't bodybuild because they know that's obstruction, all that muscle. It's like, that's gonna get in the way, and you gas out real easy like that.
Yeah, man. I mean, you know, you when you got too much of that muscle you carrying, and you got all that beef, and I mean, you gas out quick. You gas out real quick. And I tell people, I'm like, listen, you know, they come to me like, oh man, what do I need to do to lose weight? I'm like, yeah, listen, here's what you need to do. And I tell them to eat fruit, maybe just for a few days. I'm telling you, you will lose all kinds of weight. It'll be healthy for you. Your body start feeling good. It'll start repairing itself, you know. And they're like, oh man, I can't do that. I can't do that. You know, there's not enough food. But I'm like, bro, you can, if you wanted to, you can sit down and eat a whole bag of apples. You know what I'm saying? A whole bag of oranges, and you can, you know, eat as much as you like, and you're gonna be good. No, man, because the sugar. And I'm just like, oh man, it's what your body, it's what your body craves. That's what your body wants.
Yeah. And how has that been like, just with, you know, kind of friends and family and coworkers and that kind of stuff, just with this type of change? You know, how has that experience been, kind of dealing with folks?
It's been so, you know what I'm saying? I got some family members who are inspired by it and want to you know, they kind of emulate it. You know, my older brother, he was a vegan first. You know, he started first, and you know, that was like the first seed in my mind that got planted, and then I started doing it as well. But you know, all of our other siblings, you know, they kind of dabbled with it for some time, but they're very interested because they see the changes that we've had, you know, and that's the biggest advertising for it yourself, is that, you know, I can go and tell anybody that I want to, but when people see you and you don't even got to say nothing, and, you know, your skin looks nice and tight, you know, you have all the things that you get from eating clean, you know, you're like, dang, you know, then that's the best advertising for it. So I've had a lot of people, you know, very interested, but I also had a lot of people like, oh man, bro, what about your protein, bro? What about your protein, bro? You don't got no protein. I'm like, it's not even about that, because, you know, people don't realize that the protein that they're eating is not the protein that's actually getting made into protein. You know what I'm saying? Like a lot of that protein they think they're getting is just sitting in their intestines.
Yeah. And it's the stimulation, and that's what we, you know, it's like you eat the dead animal flesh and you feel nourished because, hey, you know, it's like it props you up, but you know, it's destroying your body, and and so that's something that, because I've worked with a number of folks that were like athletes or professional athletes and bodybuilders, and the one thing they almost all had in common was they had lost the ability to have natural bowel movements. They just, they're, you know, that they were like real close to like, here comes colon cancer, you know, just their whole GI tract was just trashed. And then it was like, well, let's clean it up. And we started cleaning it up and going through the transition diet. And then, wow, and they can still train. They're still great athletes. And that's what I try to explain to people. Because sometimes people will expect everybody that's into the diet to like, well, are you just can you do all this and you're just a great athlete? Well, I'm not a professional athlete. I'm a professional musician. I'm an academic. Yeah. I'm an entrepreneur. I'm this other stuff. But we have people at the highest levels and all these different, that practice a diet that are at the highest levels and all these different things. And whatever you work on and you bring it into, it's like when what I've seen is, for the most part, whatever it is you did before is good. You're going to enhance it, just unless what you did before was just like really not something you should be doing. It's gonna enhance. And so if you were a great athlete before, then it like unlocks some whole other things like you're talking about, where you just feels totally. It's like, wait a minute, I got more energy. I can run circles around folks. It's that kind of experience. And so and then you said guys are coming up and like, man, where's you get your protein? And have you ever been like, well, let's go out on the mat and let's see.
I don't say that, but I mean, when we go afterwards, they look at me like, so you don't eat any meat, huh? And I can tell right. They're thinking about what happened, because they asked me that redundant question, like, oh, so you don't eat any meat? You're not eating any meat? I'm like, no, man. Like, and they're so just like perplexed that I could have so much energy, I could be so strong, and all these different things that you would think that, I can be aggressive, all these things that you would think that you need to eat meat for. And not at all, like, I feel like if I trained and ate meat, I think it would slow me down.
Mm-hmm.
I feel like it'll slow me down, just because now, like, I eat just nutrient dense food, and that food, I feel it. Like, I feel it when I'm burning it, and it feels clean, and it doesn't, like, my body doesn't feel belabored, and it doesn't feel as if like it's cramping up, and it doesn't feel like it's dragging or it's gonna crash at any given moment. It just feels like it has energy just to keep going and going and going.
Yeah, most definitely. And now, what about your mentally, and mental clarity and that kind of stuff? Is explain your experiences in that realm.
Yeah, as far as mental clarity, it's night and day. It's night and day. Like, it's unbelievable. I feel as if like a light has turned on. Like a light is turned on in my mind, and it's really hard to explain, because what I didn't realize was that how being conscious over everything that I eat and put in my mouth just makes you just overall conscious, go up in general. My overall consciousness just kept rising, just because I'm just have so much awareness about, what I'm putting into my body and how it's going to make me feel. And really, really making sure that I put the right things in my body, and your body thanks you for it. It'll let you know right away, once you get that kind of relationship with it, when what it likes and what it don't like, and it's crazy, because like when I was feel like a lot of energy on stuff like that, I used to be able to put my hand over food and feel like, like if I put my hand over the food, it'll feel different right here, depending on what I was putting my hand over. It sounds crazy, and it sounds like it's like some supernatural stuff, but I truly believe that everybody has these kind of abilities, and I think it's something that we all should have. But I feel as if, like, because we eat the foods that we have eaten, we've completely cut off access to that part of our brain to be able to have that, because these chemicals like the fluoride and all these different other neurotoxins that we encounter in our environment, they completely rob us, and they completely rob the glands that really produce this other kind of perception of consciousness, that it's this other antenna, as I would say, as the pineal gland is, it completely blocks it off or distorts the message. So you're not truly getting what's truly coming in. And once you start eating a certain way and start, treating your body a certain way, you feel it. And you're just like, wow, this is unbelievable.
Yeah. It's funny you say that, because with me on the diet, my sense of smell got crazy, just insane, because I can walk into a supermarket and just from walking in, I can tell you pretty much what's of the aromatic fruits and things. I can tell you what's fresh over there, because I can smell it just like way far away. The downside of that is you also smell things that don't smell good. So, all the dead animal flesh cooking everywhere, and folks that, that is the one thing that really messed with me was smelling the breath of folks. And it's not, and I don't be mean to people and stuff, but then it's not that they could have just brushed their teeth. It don't matter. It's like, there's a certain smell that's like that dead carcass thing, that when the body gets saturated with that, and when they talk and when they, it's just like, so I've kind of learned how to sort of position myself around people like, hey, how you doing? Kind of that kind of thing. But and hearing, but I train that in music, but that still, I say the diet helped with that, just to be able to hear like a pin drop way somewhere way far away. And I know what you mean too. Yeah, there's definitely your intuition, it just totally opens up. It opens up, like you say, all these latent abilities that we've just haven't been able to access because we're so clogged up with mess. And you start dusting off those antennas, and it's like, ooh, okay.
Yeah, man. Like I became a weirdo for a little bit, though. I felt a little weird because I say that, like I started to develop this like Reiki, like Qigong type thing. Like I feel like my hands would heat up, like get really, really hot. And when they heat up like that, I'll put my hand next to somebody and I can feel their biofield, that 6 feet of that electromagnetic energy around everybody. Yeah. I was able to feel it, and I would get to the point where I put my hands to their face or around them, and they will feel like a pressure, like they'll feel like some magnetic pressure, that I would use. And it was crazy because I wasn't really, I didn't really understand what it was. And even when I was doing that, not only would they feel it, but I would feel it right here. I'll feel it in my head when it did it. So it was something that was crazy. It kind of bugged me out a little bit because I'm like, yo, what has happened? And I never heard anything about this. I never heard people even having something like this happen.
Yeah.
To them,
That actually, I mean, that makes total sense to me, just from even a logical standpoint, because as you growing up, like you spend a lot of time with your hands on other people and using your hands to sense movement and feel another person, like constant, because not everybody does that, I wrestled 1 year when I was in 7th grade. It wasn't for me. And, but you spent your life with that. And so it makes sense. And you start cleaning stuff out and cleaning that up, that the real, to feel the vibrations on a whole different level. And so when I would hear a musician perform or play, and the timbre, the richness of the timbre of the instruments, and the groove of the beat and all that kind of stuff, is like it entered my body differently. So I could feel those vibrations on a whole different level. And you start to, when you get that, then you start feeling how destructive some of the vibrations of like a lot of the popular music is, where it's not an uplifting kind of, it's like, it's this kind of, almost like holding your spirit down kind of stuff. But that my opinion, from what I felt, but yeah, man, that's really interesting.
it's funny. It's funny you say that about music, because when I hear music, it's like a little a fluttering inside of my head
Mm.
to like the different notes of the song of it. You know what I'm saying? Like different
Hmm.
frequencies. You know what I'm saying?
Hmm.
It's been crazy. Like I when I travel, I have like these tuning forks, and they have like a bunch of different frequencies, like 528, I was 963, and I have a couple of these frequencies that I carry with me because um, when I pick up the tuning fork, I feel it,
Mm.
So when I'm in a like the airport, or when we're on a plane, I'll just pull out one of the tuning forks and I'll just hold it, and I'll
Mm.
just feel that vibration, and I'll just close my eyes and just like meditate, like completely just
Mm.
teleport out of there, and just be somewhere else.
Yeah. Yeah. That's hip. That's what's up. That's like the grounding, just,
Yeah, man.
finding different ways to just get grounded and get into that zone. And so talk a little bit about coming out of retirement, kind of what was the inspiration to do that, and then kind of how was that
Yeah.
like after you rebirth? Now it's like, it's the new you coming, and you decide that you're going to compete again. So how did that go?
Um, Me competing again was kind of like a long time coming. After I retired from the UFC, when I left the UFC, it didn't feel as if like I left my heart out there. You know what I'm saying? I felt like
Mm.
I left just so much, so much in the basement, and a lot of that was because of the fact that before I retired, I was like 38 years old, and around that time, I started going through my midlife crisis.
Mm.
You know what I'm saying? And I just and it's the craziest thing, because if you would have asked me at the time, I'm like, no, I'm not going through a midlife crisis. But it just it's kind of really even hard to even explain. But those who have went through that crisis before understand it's just kind of like a roller coaster of emotion, and just kind of dealing with different things you never thought of, or things you may have
Mm.
put off in the past, and it just kind of all smacks you and hits you in the face at once, and then you try to make heads or tails out of what's what in life. So I was going through that transition when I was at the end of my UFC career, and towards the end of my career, like my last few fights, I just didn't feel like I fought at all. Like I lost 5 fights in a row. So once I retired, and I kind of started to have like this mental rebirth and understanding of kind of just different perspective, or that I had before. Once I had that happen to me, I started to find the desire and the want to compete again, because before it was kind of like, oh man, I can't stand this. I can't get away from fighting fast enough, but then it came a point where I started to feel that same, that yearning, that drive that I had that brought me to the sport. So I just started training. I started training and just kind of just enjoying some training, just really pushing myself to the limit, really just beat myself up, and seeing how much I could really take, because now I was in shape, but I was like, I want to see how tired I can get now that I
Mm.
have this new body. So I would just push myself and go as hard as I can, and I would just and I would be able to do it. So I'm like, you know what, man, I need a real challenge. I need a real challenge. I want to challenge myself again. So I decided to do a fight, and I've been kind of flirting around with the idea, but nothing ever presented itself, and I never pushed it. So it just was a moot point. But then an opportunity came up to fight in Habib's first show
Yeah.
in America,
Hmm.
and on Eagle FC, and I was like, this sounds like the opportunity. This is what I've been waiting for, and I've had the training, I've had everything that I need to have up until that point. So I decided to do it, and doing it for me like was something that I needed for my soul.
Mm.
It was something that I felt like I needed for me on just personal level. So
Mm.
um, training for that fight, it was good to have that focus again, and being away from the sport for 4 years. I forgot what it was like. I forgot what it meant to be in a fight, because you know these like I'm a fighter, but you know, every single time that I have a fight or a training camp, I have something, something. It's like a spiritual event. You know, it's like I find find out something about myself. I have a growing period where I find out, you know, more about who I am, or more about what I'm afraid of, and all these different things that truly unveils who I am. You know, and I miss that feeling. So going through the whole training camp, it was great to be reminded of that feeling, but there was nothing like the feeling of fight night. You know, the feeling of fight night was like all the culmination of my mental preparation and everything that I've been doing with for 4 years put to the test, because I had feelings of fear and anxiety and things that I never truly feel like I felt before. But I remember feeling afraid before, but I don't remember it being so vivid. And maybe because of the fact that now I'm so I was so conscious of my feelings and how I felt before. You know, because before I was a little bit more cut off and you know, worrying about, I was more worldly, you know what I'm saying? So deeper things didn't really strike the surface to me. But now I'm more, you know, I'm very conscious, and you know, the feelings that I was having, the fears that I was having, you know, it was walking me, you know, towards one way. But it took a lot for me to be like, you know what, boom, I just breathe through it. You know what I'm saying? Listen to some Alan Watts, listen to some Muji. You know what I'm saying? Just calm my mind, calm my body. And I made friends with the worst outcome, you know. And that's advice that I got from Randy Couture when I fought Chuck Liddell. You know, he told me, you know, you got to make friends with the worst outcome. You got to make friends with those enemies that you're feeling, that you hope never come and visit you, like the loss that you're feeling afraid to maybe potentially experience, you know. And once I made friends, I was like, you know what, man, let's do it. And I was ready to compete. And I went out there and I had a blast.
Yeah.
It was a blast. And it was more than I ever would have thought it was going to be. You know, it was just like, I remember when I was fighting, I'm like, oh my God, I can't believe this is happening. You know, I was like, I want to pinch myself. And it was crazy because like, I would have those kind of thoughts very sporadic, because when I was in there, I was just so present. It was like, it was something that I forgot about. I forgot about how present of mind that makes you, you know what I'm saying? Because there is no thought of before or after when you're in the moment, when you have that present of mind. So when you're in that presence of mind, it almost feels like you're touching eternity. You know what I'm saying? It almost feels like you're part of you're part of, you know, the ocean of consciousness where there's no beginning, no end. It's just an isness. You know what I'm saying? And I'm just caught up in the isness of the moment, to the point where I'm just like, this is absolutely amazing every once in a while. But it was something that I had totally forgot about. Well, when I got done, it made my heart feel so full.
Yeah. I appreciate that, because that was going to be a question. You kind of answered a question I was going to ask, was sort of the elaborate on the spirituality of fighting, because, you know, I know some of my followers and our friends and family in the vegan and the fruitarian communities and things is a little more on the pacifist side of things, and they'll get mad at me just for saying certain things, or Brother Air or whatever. And it's like, you know, so but I could tell that you like, okay, there's something, even because I watched that fight, and it was like it to me, just speaking like as just an observer and a fan, like that was like, that is like, you didn't need like this bloodlust that's like that, oh, I want to, you know, that's like that meat thing, you know. It was like just pure domination, you know, just like you know, it's just a different level. It's like just a different type of fighting or something, you know, where, you know, and I don't know, that's just what I observed. I don't know.
Man, I felt totally at peace, you know. And it felt good to face myself like that. It felt good to face those fears that I was having, just hours before, just moments before in a dressing room when I'm, not knowing if I got to pee or feel like I got to vomit, or I'm just having these different feelings. I'm riding that roller coaster of emotion. You know what I'm saying? And I'm just enjoying it too at the same time, because you can be, and that's the thing about a fight. Like when people see fighting, they be like, oh man, it looks so violent. And it's like the violence on the outside, it doesn't even compare to what's going on the inside. On the inside, there's a war going on, and I'm trying to kill the part of me that says that I can't. I'm trying to kill the part of me that has doubt. I'm trying to kill the part of me that has fear. And the thing about it is the fact that the fear, it's a tool to be used, and it's not nothing to be afraid of, because when you have that fear keeps you sharp. When you're afraid of something, you're careful, you're very watchful, you're very patient, and that's the lesson with fear. But then if you can allow fear to take over, then you get frozen. So it's a matter of just being able to feel that feeling of fear and let it be, let the feeling just be. And at the same time, don't try to hold it, don't try to possess it, just let it be, and just watch it. Just watch it just go. And once you just let it go, it'll do some amazing for you. Like your head will just duck by itself. You know what I'm saying? The fist will just throw itself. The sprawl would just happen by itself. All these motions would just happen by itself, because it's that alertness that fear brings you that just makes you just on 10.
Yeah. That's that's super, super interesting. And Vadim's conscious MMA, the consciousness.
I'm telling you, man. A lot of these fighters, man, they're like, they're very mental. They're very mental, in a way, not like crazy. I mean, a lot of them are crazy, but they're very mental in a way where, they do it to just really dig deep psychologically. I feel like fighting was something for me, and that I did because I had some pain in my heart that really only got scratched once I did this, But the funny thing about it is the fact that the longer you do fighting, for me it became rehab, to the point where I exhausted all of that fuel, where I didn't have that pain, I didn't have that hate, I didn't have that same fuel. And part of the reason why I slid is because I never redefined my why I was doing it. I never redefined that why. I never redefined that mission statement that led me down to, make the walk to the octagon. So when I had my revamp, I re-diagnosed my why, and I was able to compete in that space, and I had a great time doing it. You know what I'm saying? And it wasn't about anything. It wasn't about being mean. It wasn't about being nasty or even talking trash. You know what I'm saying? My guy who I was gonna fight told me that, oh man, I'm gonna kick Rashad's ass and this, that, and the other. I was like, all right.
It's like,
I didn't even argue back. I said,
okay,
yeah.
Yeah, man. Yeah, that was cool to see, because my folks will learn something, because I'm like a MMA fan, like low key, try to I just watch, I like, because I was never, I played, did sports and stuff in high school, but I was never like a fan of sports, like watching, I would play football, but I didn't really feel like watching the games and stuff. I would watch it every once in a while, but at some point I started getting kind of fascinated just with mindset of the MMA fighters, just kind of like, there's something there that's really, that's important in terms of just a certain kind of mindset. And sometimes people say, brother Air, who had introduced me to the diet, he was an athlete too before I got into the Mucusless diet. And we both kind of brought this athlete type of mentality to, or so we've been told, to the practice of the diet, where, because there's just a certain like I'm, all right, I'm pushing myself, like, whether it be like fasting or, doing now I did get some people, they want me to ask you if you ever experimented with the enemas, if you got into any of the lemon juice and distilled water enemas and that kind of thing. But that's the kind of stuff we'll be like, we get like, let me do 20 lemons. Let me, let's do this. Let me fast I'm gonna fast for this, that kind of stuff. But yeah, the enema, have you messed with that at all?
No, I never have, man. I had one enema my whole entire life, and it was the most uncomfortable thing I've ever have happened to me. And it was like, it was a weird situation, but I'm gonna tell you what, I did feel better afterwards. But I haven't gotten one since I started cleaning up my diet, and I didn't really feel like I had to, because I take this supplement called Haritaki. You know what Haritaki is?
No, I hadn't got into that one.
So it's an Ayurvedic herb, right? And like
kind of like a stomach and bowel herb.
Yeah, but you know what it is? It's like it's a dry fruit, and if you eat it, it tastes absolutely like trash. So you might want to get it in capsules, because it takes a certain kind of palate to be able to swallow it. But what it does for your body is absolutely amazing. Like it's like the janitor for your body. So you take it at nighttime after your last meal, right before you go to sleep, and it goes through and it cleans out your intestines, your stomach, and put the healthy gut bacteria in your stomach. But it cleans you out, and it pulls out all of like that dark stuff,
that mucus, and that you get some of that out.
It pulls it out. That's been in there for over for a while, because it's very astringent. Like if you took the stuff out and you put it on your counter, it might stain your counter. So it's very astringent, but it doesn't it doesn't hurt. It doesn't harm your body. So you should look it up. It's Haritaki. But I take that stuff, and I do that on such a consistent basis. Like I don't even feel like the enema will even pull anything out of me.
Okay. Yeah. I'll check that out. But the lemon juice and distilled water enema, that's been my that's been my saving grace, is in the early days, especially like it's like some people, when they're just trying to get off the meat addiction. I met a lot of people like just like overnight, they just get off of it. They watch a documentary of this, like a slaughterhouse documentary, or they have an experience like you had, or where they just like, I don't feel like it, but in my case, like I had to clean my body up first, because I was still craving it. And I found that the lemon juice, especially with strong lemon juice, just the lemon juice.
So put me on game. So how do you even do it though? You just kind of like, what do you do?
Yeah, so I'll juice the lemon, and now the strongest, because I got into.
Is it one lemon, or you juice a bunch of different lemons?
I'll juice a bunch of lemons, and I got into juicing lemon with the rind. So that's like the strongest,
that's
like the most
strong lemon,
super strong. Combine that with distilled water, warm it up, and it's like 2 quarts. The standard enema bag is like 2 quarts. I used to have this gallon enema bag. That was fun. But yeah, 2 quarts, and it's good to make it strong with the lemon juice, to make that lemon juice kind of strong, because some people, they'll just want to do like 1 lemon, this kind of stuff. I'm like, man, just do more lemons, because that's that astringency. You get some serious astringency. Now, when you administer it, I lay on my left side. There's arguments of people say lay on your right, your left. I've done both. I do the left now, but
what does it matter? What does it matter with the side that they say lay
on? So there's literally like 2 schools of thought. There's the laying on your right side school of thought, and that's what's in the Mucusless Diet book, and that's kind of like the older version. So you lay on your right, and it's like it both ways claim that the reason that you lay on either side is because the water will flow in better, and then naturally use gravity to aid in going through the small intestine and around. And I found that, because for like the first couple years I was doing it on the right side. Then I just started, I'd read like an article on doing it from the left, And I was like, let me try it, you know, and I started doing it from the left. I was like, I like this
So
better.
where do you do this at? You do it like in the bathroom, or you do it like
yeah, so I got you know, if you get a yoga mat or something, and I mean, I do in my if you have a big enough bathroom, then yeah, you can just put the yoga mat in there, you know, and I always say, like, you know, kind of romance yourself, because it's really like a meditative type of
candles type,
you know,
thing.
get some candles and the incense going and some soft music or some kind of whatever, you know, meditative kind of stuff.
I might mess around and fall in love with myself with this. What's going on? Soft music.
Yeah, you know, it's
Something
that kind of, yeah, it's real. Just, you know, you get in that groove and do it. And then at first, yeah, it can be kind of unpleasant when you first getting used to it, you know, but you get it in, you hold. So I'll hold it, then lay on my back and kind of elevate my body a little bit so it flows down, be there for a couple minutes, then turn over, kind of lay on my right side, and then just walk in and start to excrete, you know. And yeah.
But how long do you keep it in your stomach before you let it out, though?
I mean, I'll do like 8 to 10 minutes. That's another one of those schools of thought where some people say like 15 minutes, and then some people are like, well, you know, a lot of people have trouble. That's where the athlete part comes in, because some people have trouble doing like just 1 or 2 minutes. You know, they're like they hold it for 1 or 2 minutes.
It's the hardest. I remember when I did it the one time, that was the hardest thing in the world, just holding it. And she was like, you gotta hold it. I'm like, are you? It's the hardest thing in the world to hold. You know what I'm saying?
And I'll reach around. So when I'm laying on my back, I'll reach around with a little bit of the towel and apply just a little bit of pressure, because essentially you might go through, you know, 3 or 4 times where it feels like it's gonna want to kind of rush out. So that's where I just might apply a little pressure and then kind of just, you know, squeeze that sphincter muscle and then that passes, you know, then that feeling passes and you're like, okay, then it comes, you know, it might come again, you know, and then the longer you kind of hold it, when it does come, it's like, cause it's getting higher and higher up there. And I know some people say that they're like, oh, it only does the colon or it only does the small intestine. And we've tested this and done it on like longer fast and have felt literally the water clean the entire, like all 32 feet, you know, that wow. it can do that. I say it can't, but we've experienced that. And now
when it's happening, do you push on your intestine area? Like, do you push on it to kind of like help?
When I'm
massage it, I should say, do you massage?
I'll massage a little bit, and then when on the toilet actually excreting, then I might, you know, do some little massages and you can actually go kind of like get into the intestine a little bit and just kind of push, and because anything that's stuck up in there is gonna fly out. And and the lemon is good too for killing, like if they're, you know, the parasites and stuff. We get a lot of people that do those, and those big old worms come out and they'll be like, what is this? I was like, you just got out a 20-inch tapeworm. Good job.
Wow.
You know. And
do you do anything with diatomaceous earth?
No, I experimented with some of that at different points. But for me, I always just came back to the lemon juice enema. Like that was kind of the, you know, the thing. That's something like I would recommend some of that kind of stuff for people that are just starting out, that really have a lot of acid in their stomach. Like if they really are real toxic and they just need like, okay, let's be gentle and, you know, get some certain herbs and some clay and some that kind of stuff. I don't talk about that a lot. You know, it's not something I like do a lot of promotion with, but there's cases where those tools I think can be really helpful. But but that's what I love about this, just naturopathy and this whole thing. There's so many tools. It's like,
it is.
And there's so many people that they get so narrow-minded into like this is the best tool. This is everybody's got to do this one thing. And I'm just like, I mean, there's a handful of principles that I think we would all benefit from, but there's so many tools that are like, you know, the trick is to not get addicted to ones that you shouldn't really get addicted. You know, like there's just some like, or because like if I'm working with somebody with the herb and I think that they could benefit from herbs, but that's not the first thing I go to. Like I want to get people on the transition diet first. Like just like let's start cleaning you out with the salads, with the fruit, and you know, if they're willing to do
so that's your transitional diet. You do start with the salads.
Well, yeah, I mean that's I always tell people go really check out those chapters in the book, you know, the transition, you know, in the Mucusless Diet Healing System. Those transition diet lessons are crucial because it shows people how to not, like, you don't have to go from whatever you're eating and then overnight you're eating fruits and vegetables. It's like they show you those transitional items that make the transition possible, because a lot of people just wouldn't be able to do that just because it's a way to gradually allow a person to get this poison out of their body, kind of titrate, you know, get off as the poison leaves, then the addiction to and the craving for the worst foods start to go away. And you start to crave the fruits and the vegetables and the best foods. And that doesn't mean that you're not still going to crave some mess and eat some mess, but it's like, it's a total different, like when I have a bad day of eating, like my bad day, somebody else would say is like a great day. You know, it's like that kind of thing. It's just the levels. But yeah, teaching the trend, that's kind of what I've taken on in terms of just my message for the world is transition diet, because no one else is talking about that. Very few people really try to like get into the art. There's like an art of the transition, whereas it's not a one size fits all kind of thing. And each person's situation is different based on what they used to eat, what they're still craving, how much toxic waste and uric acid is in their body. They took pharmaceutical drugs or hard drugs or whatever, you know, it's like you take all that stuff into consideration and then proceed forward once you understand the principles of the transition. And for instance, like one of the principles is when you have a vegetable meal, or if you're going to eat something that is like has some mucus in it, I always recommend have a combination salad or a broom salad with it, because it helps just keep it moving, move it through. And because, you know, I'll meet vegans that they'll have a meal of vegan cheese. Like, that's it. Like, what are you doing? You know, you need to like, if you're gonna have some, you need some roughage, you know, get you need salad up in there. And but yeah, the transition diet is so crucial, and that's what you know, most people are really gonna have to really deal with those transitional principles to be able to kind of get over the hump and benefit from the path.
So what is the ratio of fruit to vegetables that you tell them when they're doing a transitional diet? Because I always felt as if like I was able to stay and really not crave like the kind of bad foods I shouldn't be eating, because I leaned on fruits a lot. You know, fruits was that thing that kind of helped me push past, you know, and not really, you know, go back to those foods.
Yeah. I'm one of those people that I'm not hardcore on like it has to be this small amount. Like Brother Ehret told me early on, he's like, if you're eating mucus-free, then you're eating mucus-free. You're not leaving behind all this sludge and slime in your body. And so eat as much as you need, you know, as much as if you eat a bag of apples, eat a bag of apples, you know, or big thing of mangoes, you know, you eat the mangoes or whatever, you know. So if somebody really wants me for like that person, if they really want a recommendation of amount and ounces or how many, like I'll do it based on them. But the general thing is to just eat until you're full.
But okay, so like what about the ratio? Like how much would you say, okay, eat maybe 60% fruit or 40% vegetables, or, you know, how would you break up, or would you say, you know, that kind of situation?
Yeah, again, that it depends on the person, like what they can handle. So for instance, if I'm working with somebody that we call it uric acid type or a lean type of physiology, those are the people that are supposedly have really high metabolism. They can eat anything and they never pick up any weight. So Arnold Ehret created a term and sort of a categorization for those people called lean types or uric acid types, where they can eat stuff and there's so much acid in their gut, it just kind of just picks it apart right away. And the society says, oh, these people are healthy. They're real skinny. Yeah, but these people also start getting like strokes and heart attacks, and it's not, that's one of those fallacies. It's like, you're skinny and I'm healthy, but if you're eating terrible, then you're having more chemical interference in your body. So those people, I might recommend them to eat more vegetables. So I might be like, especially if they're craving a lot of meat and they're craving a lot of stuff, I'll be like, hey, eat maybe 60% vegetables, 60-40 or something like that. Or, I mean, I've had people that were almost 100% vegetables because they literally couldn't handle fruit, just their body. They were so toxic. There was so much stuff that they would eat a piece of fruit. They would just start breaking out and just, so we really had to clean, and we were able to get them to where they could eat fruit, but it took time. We had to clean them out with the vegetables first and then start introducing the fruit in over time. And that's what they had to do. Then there's other folks where they might start off, 60% fruit, 40% vegetables, or and then the ratio just over time. My experience has been you get to the point. Well, what I experienced was over time, I no longer needed to eat as much fruit, so my fruit meals are real kind of refined. And because there would be a time where I would eat like the whole pineapple or 10 mangoes or 7 apples or whatever, or like you talking about, like oranges and 5 oranges and like a handful of dates or whatever, but now with the fruit, I don't have to. It's it's like two mangoes or couple apples, several oranges, it's like that kind of thing with the fruit meal. And then the vegetable meal is just usually just salad, just a basic kind of salad, and maybe some kind of vegetable or like a mucus-free vegetable or something along with that. But back in the day, I did eat a lot more in terms of quantity. Like I ate a lot more, but over time, it's just less and less. And then I have my days, and one of the concepts I have with the transition is it's not all like one thing and it's not all linear. So you'll have your periods where you might be fasting or just juice feasting or whatever terminology you want to use, whether you're doing the vegetable juices and fruit juices, or fruit juices only, or eating fruit only. Then you can do there's sort of like raw mucus-free modes where you're eating what a lot of people would say, is like all fruit, but you combine the culinary fruits as well, like the vegetables that are really fruits, and you eating those in a separate meal, like the cucumbers and that kind of stuff. Like you having like cucumber meals and stuff, and there's the apple meals and that kind of stuff over there. And but then to go all the way, that's like the higher level stuff. Then you can go all the way back when people are getting started. There's nothing wrong with, as long as it's controlled. If for someone that's really craving some mucus pretty bad, then I'll be like, well, yeah, have some of the vegan, whatever, the processed stuff. It's like, it's not the end of the world,
right?
Use some of that, but just understand that it's not healthy and it's not something that you want to use forever.
Right.
But it's cool for like transitional purposes, because sometimes you just kind of hit it and you'll have a relapse. There will be like little relapses. That's what I try to prepare people for, is like those little relapses where you wake up one day and all of a sudden you craving something crazy. And it's like, if you're prepared for that, then like, okay, well, let me do this, or let me get that. And another thing that a lot of people miss is the cooked fruit. So like baked banana and the baked apple and that kind of stuff. And that can help people because it's not as aggressive. If the fruit's not is being too aggressive for them, like they might eat a couple apples and there's so much gas, it's like painful in their stomach. It's just because it's hitting this toxic stuff in their system and it's just creating so much gas and pressure and this kind of stuff.
So you can cook the fruit, huh?
Yeah, cooked fruit. Yeah, it's a whole. It's like most raw foodists miss that. And when I work with people that were like raw foodists,
you got me. See,
yeah. Yeah, it's a whole level. Like the cooked fruit is a whole level. And I tell you, one of my favorite recipe is and it's actually if people sign up for the newsletter that you get this PDF with this recipe, but the baked banana surprise. So you bake like 2 or 3 bananas, add applesauce and chopped dates.
So it feels like you just eating dessert the whole time, then, huh?
Woo!
It's like you just eating dessert, then, right?
Yeah, I mean, it's just. Yeah,
oh my gosh, yo! You know what's so funny? Like, I totally I totally spaced on it, like you said, the cooked fruits. Like my mind is like, I'm just thinking about all kinds of recipes that I could make with some cooked fruit because that's a problem that I do have. Like I love the fruits, but sometimes I don't want to eat something cold.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I'm saying? Sometimes I don't want to eat something cold, and I don't. I used to never like to eat any cooked foods at all. Like when I first started, I almost went probably about 2 years before I ate anything cooked.
Like,
you know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So, how much cooked food do you eat?
So I'll have my periods where I'm like 100% raw and mucus free, and that's the key is raw and mucus free. Most raw foodists aren't mucus free. They'll be like, I'm raw, but they eat a lot of mucus. If I'm gonna be raw, I'm gonna be mucus free in those times. I'll eat maybe in terms of like a cooked vegetable. I mean, I actually haven't had cooked fruit in a while, but I ate it all the time in the beginning. But I'll have I try to either one cooked vegetable or something. So if I have like a salad, then maybe I might bake some zucchini or do like saute some vegetables or steam some broccoli. And I know that some of these items they don't fit for people that are kind of into the Dr. Sebi. They're like there are no-nos over there. We have disagreements on some of those things, but that's the kind of stuff, you know, that I get into, that kind of thing. And then if you know, there's a whole world of making things like the jackfruit, you know, if you get into
I like the jackfruit.
Like the jackfruit and that kind of stuff. But it's always just like a small portion. And so I have the salad is the main course, just a combination salad with usually the base is like a spring mix and some romaine lettuce or red leaf lettuce, and chop up some celery and some other just stuff like that. Maybe some aromatic herbs on there and some lemon juice. And then maybe sometimes I'll make like a dressing out of like tomatoes or tomato sauce kind of thing. And so that'll be the main salad. And I'll start eating that first. And then like halfway through eating that, I'll start to incorporate the cooked vegetable. And that way it almost, to me, it's like you wrap up that cooked vegetable with the raw salad. You know, it's kind of, you create this little package in your stomach, and it just helps it go down. And so that's kind of where I'm at. And
shoot, I'm thinking about the baked fruit still.
I'm
thinking about the baked fruit still. Like, man, okay.
Yeah, people sleep on it. It's a whole, you know, it's a whole vibe.
I mean, it'd be like having dessert all the time. You know what I'm saying? Like if you're able to make it the right way, you know, that'd be, man. I think about all the combinations that I can go with. But I think
because there's a lot of fruit that works. You know, there's a lot of stuff that if you bake it the right way, and they usually don't take that long.
Peaches,
you know,
apples, bananas.
Yep, exactly.
I mean,
you know,
dang,
blackberries, blueberries are good in there. Yeah.
Dang, I just thought about a whole hookup that I'm about to do when I get home.
Yeah.
That so like when you are you're coaching people, do you use spirulina? Are you a believer in it?
I've checked it out. Like I experiment with most things just to see what it does, and it was cool, but it didn't grab me like, this is like, this is something that you need to do. But I checked out like I had some of that blue. It was like some of the blue stuff, the green stuff. I had my little period where I checked those out, and I can see where, again, as a tool that can be useful, for certain people in certain situations. And but yeah, I don't do that now because I'm kind of like, I'm pretty boring, when it comes to like just like supplements and all that. I'm just like, let me go juice some greens, just make a green juice, or there's a couple there's a herbal formula that I like that's very similar to the Inner Clean formula that Ehret talks about in the Mucusless Diet book, and I'll use that from time to time.
What is that?
So it's this it's called this Puridyme Cleanse, and it's basically just a bunch of different stomach and bowel herbs put together, but it tastes good. I like it.
So you make the herbs yourself, like you get the herbs, you buy them individually, put them together?
No, I did that years ago too. In this case, this is like a packaged, a package a formula. Because I had checked out so years ago, they used to actually sell Arnold Ehret's Inner Clean. That was like a variation of his original herbal formula. Then that went off the market, and I was checking out Dr. Robert Morris's stomach and bowel herbal formulas, and I like number 2 and number 3. He's got like 1 through 5, where the higher the number goes, the more laxative they are. And so I was, I would check that out from time to time. But then when I checked out the Puridyme Cleanse, I was like, oh, I like this.
That's it.
And so it's one of those things where I'm careful about how I talk about that in a lot of the videos, because what I find is some people, they trade the orientation that we've had for medicines, and it's like they trade their addiction to medicine to like a mental addiction for herbs. And so I'll tell people, like, well, don't mess with herbs yet. Like, just focus on the diet first. Yeah. And then if you need the herbs, if you be real targeted with it, like, okay, let me this or that, and so, yeah. So
what herbs do you like? I mean, you said you're real targeted, so you don't take any like on a consistent basis, only when needed, right?
Yeah. Like, cause I'll go months without taking, some like an herbal formula or something like that. There was a period where I was going through some pretty intense elimination, and I pretty much went through all the different Dr. Morris formulas. And so I got a chance to see how they all work. And when you're talking real deep issues, then you want to be getting into like the lymphatic formulas and some of these like real and pretty intense formulas. This is the kind of stuff where if you're going through something, you had like a really scary diagnosis or something, then you either go in that direction and deal with whatever they tell you to do, or you're going to have to come and lay down and fast, and you can get into some of these herbs. And it's always about you want to focus on things that's going to loosen and eliminate, and get into the tissue system and loosen, eliminate, move the lymph. And so I tried, all that kind of stuff. And my thing was, I just really saw that the way people think about herbs to me was problematic, because they were giving too much power to them, like relying too much on it before they even saw the power of fasting alone. Like do it like just fast on whether it be water or lemon juice or the lemon juice fast. I mean, that's like, that's a whole thing just in itself. The apple juice fast, the orange juice, of course, water, of course,
right.
And so there's a lot.
What about urine fast? You ever hear about you
No,
ever hear about you ever hear about urine therapy though, right? There's people who do urine fast stuff.
I'm not a fan of the urine therapy.
What are your thoughts on urine therapy?
So my thing is, like, if you're cleansing your body properly, you're gonna have so much waste coming out of your urine, and it should be, you urinate, especially if you're fasting or something, you urinate and it should just be like the whole bottom just cloudy. And if you let the urine sit, there's just a whole thing of film and mucus and slime that's like sediment in that urine. I don't want to drink that. Like, to me, like what Ehret said, everything that the body eliminates is waste. No matter what, like if it comes out, if it eliminates from the body, then it didn't need to be there.
Yeah.
And so I found there's been times where some of the urine therapy folks will come by and they'll be like, man, you're closed-minded, man, open up. I'm like, look, juice some grapes, do a grape juice fast. You know what I mean?
Right,
like, you want to, I'm telling you, everything that needs to be done with the fast is in these juices.
But they will say that the materials that are in your urine are the medicine that your body specifically need for that given time. I watch a few episodes of podcasts of it. You know what I'm saying? They say that it's called plasma ultrafiltrate. That's what they say urine is really called, and that they put it in all these different products that we use without even knowing that we're using urine.
Well, I mean, I believe that because they got all kinds of stuff like that. But yeah, all like this acids and all that sediment and all that waste and stuff. It's just like, because some of these people, their kidneys aren't filtering. There's nothing in their urine. It's like it's just like clear as water. It's just nothing in there. It's like, and some of those probably some of the folks that do that. And but yeah, not on board on that one. I'm like, we can definitely just get into it because the fasting, like I said, when you fasting properly, you get those kidneys start to just squeeze this stuff out, and you get mucus is going through, and it's just like a sieve, and it's just squeezing all this stuff, and you definitely don't want to be putting that back into your body.
I couldn't imagine drinking that after that. Just no.
It's like, but that's what I'm saying. Folks in our space can sometimes get sidetracked. Like, it's because it's like the shiny new object, where instead of just kind of staying on track, like just dealing with the fundamentals, hitting, kind of going down this road and that kind of thing, they'll be like, ooh, what's, there's a magic herb, there's this, there's that, and they kind of can get off. I mean, I've seen people get off the path with that, where they get lost because they kind of they go off and check out some of this stuff, and then they lose it for a minute, and they end up getting away from diet, the fundamental part, and so then they have to like come back and be like, all right, come on back, and but yeah, that's
so. What are your pillars that keep you like dialed into your diet? Like what are the things that that make it so easy for you?
For me, once kind of, I know the way that I grew up, and just I experienced what a lot of people don't. I saw the hospitals and the hospices and watch people die, watch people just that can't walk and this kind of stuff at a really young age. And before I got into the diet, I was like, man, this doesn't feel normal. Like this is wrong. Something is up here. And so I started wanting to find answers for this, because I'm like, this doesn't this is weird. This is not right. Couldn't explain it at that time, but I just knew it was wrong. So when the Mucusless diet came along and I started cleaning myself out and just got over all of these ailments from the sleep apnea and, losing 100 pounds and these chronic migraine headaches that I'd have every day, it was just all that stuff within 6 months was gone. And so it was just like a total rebirth. And I was like, this was what I was looking for. This is the information that could save the lives of billions of people that are just unnecessary. The pain and suffering is unnecessary. So much of it that folks, and just like I'm saying, I'm going down to this nursing home now with my aunt and just seeing this. It's like, man, the consciousness is so low. Yeah. And I'm just like, I'm not going down like that. It's just, I'm gonna do everything in my power to not, because I put it like this, like, I'll be like, wouldn't you do it everything in your power if it meant not ending up to the point where like somebody had to come in and change your diapers and, help you into a wheelchair and wouldn't you fight? Wouldn't you everything you could to try to avoid that?
Right. Absolutely.
And so for me, that it's easy. It's like I'm dialed in, like I ain't going out like that. Yeah. If it happens, it happens. I might be in a car accident tomorrow. We'll deal with that then. But right now, like we have this information that's just such a game changer in terms of longevity of health, what people are looking for, like the fountain of youth and all this kind of stuff. But everybody wants it to be an herb or to be something easy that they can just take. And it's like, it's growing in your backyard. It's the fruits and the vegetables, and it's like, it's right there. The herbs, the herbs are growing. I'll put, put the fresh herbs in my, my salads, but that, that awareness keeps me dialed in, where it's like, and as a musician, and just out at different places, I see all that, like, because the world looks so different. So I see just, everybody that's getting drunk and eating all this stuff and just kind of the gluttony thing and the debauchery and all that kind of stuff. And you just have to sit there and look, and it's like, yeah, you're smiling now. You think you're having fun, but this is going to end in a nursing home. You don't, like, and it doesn't have to, we don't have to go out like that.
But eating out now has become remarkably easier than it was in days past, just based on this wave of consciousness that we have about the diet. How far do you think this is going to go? Like, you think it's to the point where so much consciousness is going to be shed on this diet that it's going to totally disrupt this the food pyramid that we have going on? You know what I'm saying? Like, how far do we think that this revolution is going to happen in health?
Yeah, I think it's eventually is going to go the whole way, because it has to, because that other thing is going to die out, we're already seeing it, and as people, but what I do think is going to happen is there's going to be a sort of a big divide. So it's the folks that sort of stay over into like the meat and the dairy and just kind of the way that people eat now, like that's going to get even crazier, like like more gluttonous, more, like these TV shows, Man versus Food and all this kind of stuff, where they just stuff themselves, like they get applause for stuffing themselves with like the most disease causing foods there is, so you got that consciousness, and there's definitely going to be those people kind of over there, but their longevity is compromised. And these younger generations, like Brother Ehret says, you're a carbon copy and not a better copy of your parents. And so we're seeing young people now there's a lot of heart issues with young people that don't need to be there. But even without that, in 30s, 40s, 50s, folks are starting to get the strokes and the heart attacks and that kind of stuff. Before, like a couple generations ago, you at least had to be in your 60s or 70s before you started having, partners that would be going through that. And so, but, part of the work that we're trying to do is to, eventually have the resources, put together, a serious community that can act as a template to show people like, man, you can grow, you can get your own land. Like, let's grow our own food, develop our own resources, our own infrastructures. And, because it has to be like that at this point. It gets harder to sort of cohabitate with with that thing. But yeah, I have been happy to see the transition of consciousness, and especially down in like Florida. When I was past couple years, I'm supposed to be down there now, but got this situation with my aunt. But I would go down there for a couple months and just hang out Miami and different places, and I was like blown away. Like, there's actually vegan restaurants here that I can get something from, because a lot of vegan places just have the vegan garbage stuff, and I don't eat that. But I'm finding places like, oh man, this is some nice salads, and okay, there's some stuff, okay, and so that's cool, and I'm happy to see that. We don't want to go for the okie doke though. We don't want to get lost, because there's going to be a lot of people that get lost in the Impossible Burger thing, and the KFC
the fake meats,
vegan bag bucket, and so they're gonna try to, and that's really just them trying to make some money on people as they're trying to exit. They're trying to get a little healthier, trying to go, and they're like, okay, and then here comes KFC vegan bucket and burger. I think I just read an article today. There's like a Burger King in London that's gonna try to be vegan Burger King for a month or something. I mean, just it's bizarre, but that's gonna be some of the kind of the collateral damage kind of stuff that we're gonna see, is just that because there are so many people that's waking up and coming in this direction. So those industries are being forced to change already, whether they like it or not. And so I definitely think, this is slowly but surely this is gonna take hold, and it's really about the results. People are gonna see, as you did. You start cleaning up a little bit, and you're like, oh, wait a minute, I feel better. That pain that I had go away. And I was gonna ask about that, like recovery time. How is that now?
It's so much better now. It's so much better. Like it, I'll get sore, but it's not like it's cut in half, maybe even more than that. It just kind of goes away real fast. And the recovery time that I have in between workouts, I can go like I'm 20 something years old, and that's kind of crazy, because they're not easy workouts. You know what I'm saying? It's that I'm doing like 2.5 hours each clip, and it's pretty intense each clip that I'm doing. So it gets pretty impressive to feel like my body's coming back and it's responding, and it's crazy to see, because I didn't always treat my body the best at all. You know what I'm saying? Like I would have a training camp, have a fight. Then after I get done with the fight, I would bathe my body in alcohol. You know what I'm saying? And it's just like there was no ramping down of the body. It was just straight garbage. You know what I'm saying? But I'm very thankful and very happy that my body didn't sustain any, in any lasting long, damages from living like that and cutting weight and stuff like that. I know some fighters who cut weight a lot during their career, and now as they're older, they're having problems with their kidneys and things like that. So it gets to be scary, because as an athlete, you think that that's never going to happen to you,
right?
And you do it in a minute, but then when it happens, you just like, damn, like I wish I would have thought a little bit better, because it does happen. You know what I'm saying? Like my mom used to say, everything bad happen doesn't always happen to other people.
That I always think about that when I see just that the culture of cutting weight, and kind of that thing is like, wow, that's not good. It's just not good for you to do that.
No.
And
Yeah, it's tough, man. Like you beat those kidneys up, you drain the kidneys. But I think the biggest problem comes in like, just how you treat the body afterwards. You know what I'm
Mm,
saying? Like you just completely like there's no rehab for the body afterwards. There's no nutritious diet that you're putting into your
mhm.
body in order to make sure the organs are repairing themselves if they got damage in the competition. Like when I got done from
Right.
competition from like most of my 5 round fights, I will be peeing blood for like 3 days afterwards.
Wow.
And yeah, for like 3 days afterwards. And first time it happened, I thought I was dying, man. I was scared. But afterwards I started to realize that that was just what happens when I put my body through that. But I mean, if I'm peeing blood, that means I'm putting my body through so much damage. You know what I'm saying? So it's
Mm.
it gets to those point where you got to start thinking about, okay, what am I going to be left with as far as the body when all this is said and done?
Yeah. Yeah. That's deep, and so I heard what was interesting was Chael Sonnen was he kind of talked about, like he said that you had told him about the diet. It was like, man, he told me about this book, and and so that was kind of interesting. He used that as the story of your comeback, like
Yeah.
and
Yeah. I tried. So when I first started doing the whole diet, I told Chael and all those guys, because they can see like a stark difference in me, a
mhm,
big difference. You know what I'm saying? Like they were just like, damn, what did you do different? I started telling them, and they would ask me about it, and they'd try to test me, see if I eat this and eat that, and I just had no interest. But I would tell them, back when I was talking to him, I would eat nothing. Like it was just only fruit, only
mhm,
fruit, and
right,
it was super super strict, super strict. And I had those times where I go super strict like that, for
mhm,
like months and months and months on end, and then
right,
I'll be a little bit looser, but I never go like just bad diet. So
right,
um he was very interested, you know what I'm saying, and he said that he was going to try it and stuff like that. But I mean, even if he never does, it's about having that conversation, right?
right,
And it's and the seed is planted. You can never underestimate the power of planting a seed. So
mhm,
you plant that seed in his mind, then you never know. He goes to the doctor say, hey, you need to change this or else, or hey, you got this, or you need to change this, and changing his diet may be the first thing that they do, or that he decides to do, and find the benefit of it, like I have, because the thing about it is, and the crazy part about it is, like, once you learn how to eat, it's so crazy that doctors and these people who are in charge of health really have no idea. And this is like, well, if you're in charge of health and you don't know how you should eat or what you should put into your body, then what are you in charge of? You know what I'm saying? Because that's the biggest component of health. Being
yeah,
able to understand, what I'm saying, understanding a healthy diet and understand, how to treat the body, But a lot of these people in these positions, they don't really know how to eat. And when I first started learning how to eat, I was just blown away. Like, damn, dude, like it made me just look at certain doctors and those people's in the whole the medical industry just way differently, like to the point where it's like, I don't know, like I'm not a doctor by any means, but I'll rather read about something and get more of a diverse understanding before I just put my hands totally in a doctor's.
right. Yeah. Yeah. It's just such a, when you're talking about hospitals, they got McDonald's and Wendy's and Subway down in the cafeteria, and
Yeah.
doctors walking in that, even my and my family member that was in there, she was like, man, a lot of these doctors and these fads are really overweight, because they're coming in just looking like what did you learn anything, and that's what's so frustrating for me, having helped a lot of people that was really sick, that with the principles that we're talking about, cleaning them up and their body starts healing itself. And they were told, I got a number of people that they do a blood test and then stuff is off and they start doing other tests and they're like, oh, we got to cut out your thyroid. Like, huh? And each one of these people that I know, any symptoms they had, they were able to deal with going down this road. And I'm not saying we're curing, nothing.
Yeah.
I'm just saying that they made a choice to not go in the direction of having glands cut out to the point where they would have to be on medication the rest of their life. They decided, well, let me try this other direction and see how that goes. And then they can't even believe that was even recommended because they just bounced back, and with all those kind of symptoms. And you mentioned like you have like pre-diabetic type of symptoms and all that kind of stuff. And it goes away with just some cleansing food and the right kind of fasting and the fresh vegetables. And because that's what I say about these places like the hospitals and stuff, they should be growing organic fruits and vegetables there. And there should be juicers in every room, enema bags in every room, or or colonic systems or something. And that's the real the real healing, the real, because the one thing that those places do is emergency care. So I always tell people, go to the emergency room if you need to. If something's going off, if my arm gets chopped off or something like that, take me over there and let them deal with that. Because it's like the worse the trauma is, the better they are. But as soon as if you're talking about chronic illness, you're talking about like once the person isn't on their deathbed anymore, it's like the recommendations and the stuff get really bad.
Yeah.
And because
then it becomes about feeding another system, which is a pharmaceutical system, right? You know what I'm saying? And you have, the part of the industry where it's about operation and that kind of care, but then you have the other part of the system, which is about pharmaceutical care, and they're going to push you into one of those two arms, So that's what they're trained to do, and it's unfortunate because there's so much blind trust, given to doctors, where people wouldn't even think that the doctors may be operating with some kind of preconceived, brainwashing, I guess, to say the least. It's amazing in that respect because, you can have a doctor who's super bright and who's super smart, but then, they can't see past the snare of what is, of what the whole industry is and why it's set up the way that it is, So
right.
It always makes it hard for me to really take a recommendation for a doctor or any kind of medical professional who can't see the snare in the system.
Yeah. It is a really strange and sad thing about this era, this time, just that the medical industrial complex. And like I got to see firsthand, like because people think that they have their insurance and I got my insurance, I'm all good. And then, oh, you denied a $31,000 visit. Like, why? And it's, then you got to go through all the appeal process and that kind of stuff. And then they want to try to be real stingy with the, approving therapy or something. Like, okay, well, you need a lot of therapy, but we're only going to give you 2 days physical therapy that will cover, and for just a few weeks. And if you're not better by the end of that, then too bad. Then you and what I kind of learned about that I didn't know a lot about, that some people probably watching know about, is the whole kind of Medicaid scam. It's really like, the way people talk about student loans, people need to be talking about this Medicaid. And what I mean is, so you could have somebody that has a little savings. They might have a few, couple 200, 300, whatever grand, they in the bank, but they get in a situation where maybe they can't walk anymore, they can't go back home. Well, now what? The nursing homes cost, with it, like some of these nursing homes that were like terrible care and just subpar kind of resources, horrible meals, is 10 grand a month to and so for like the average person that don't have that type of bank account, what you end up having to do is like literally you sign over your like any assets you have, you sign that over to the Medicaid, industrial complex, and then you can be put on Medicaid, then everything is paid for. But you can't go on there until you sign your stuff over. So you're either paying it yourself and you having them kind of, 10 grand a month. The physical therapy, if that was to be paid out of pocket, that was like, I think it was like $5 a minute or something. It was like the charge, it'd be like several hundred just for, 40 minutes of PT would be like, some crazy amount. And then that's on top of the 10 grand a month.
Wow.
And it's so yeah. And a lot of people, they get to that point because they don't want to think about that reality. And then they find themselves in that reality in it. And they learn that what I just said here, they learn that then. And so they're sitting there and they might've saved all their life. They think they have enough money in the bank saved up. Like, okay, think I'm good. This is my retirement. I should be all right. And then they come talking this, 10 grand, 12 grand a month to be in a nursing facility.
Jeez.
And it's like, and like I said, yeah, I need to find I forget the exact name. Maybe somebody can put it in the comment, but there's a name for that plan. It's like this Medicaid plan, and you sign your assets over and everything over to them. And so too bad if you wanted to give relatives or something, because they have a 5-year look back where if you try to be slick and you're like, okay, I'm about to go in, let me try to offload all my money to the relatives. That ain't gonna work, because they literally go through your financial records, and if you tried to give things away to family members or properties and money and that kind of stuff, they can like reject your application until you get that money back or those assets back and give it to them.
Oh my gosh.
And so it's a heavy, like this thing, man, this deep dive. I'm gonna be making videos on this because this has like been a deep dive into the, and there's like wealthy people that kind of know about this. You can go to a lawyer, and as long as it's like 5 years before any of that happens, there's literally like Medicaid trusts that you can set up, and so people that know about this will set this stuff up early enough, so that is a way that you can protect your assets before you end up in that kind of situation. But it's a dirty system. I mean, it's dirty.
Man. Insurance is no joke, man. I can't stand insurance. I can't stand it.
Yeah. It's like it's a dirty. I mean, just dealing with this, I just got to the point where I'm like, man, this is evil. This whole industry. I mean, there's some good people in there. It's not like saying everybody in it is evil, but it's this big apparatus, just from the ground up, because it could be so much better. Just all these resources are just squandered when people could really be healed and really be given a second chance and a new lease on life if they were to be given the proper space to heal. And with those kind of resources, I mean, we could do some serious healing with folks, just in that kind of environment. The healing sanctuaries of healing is what they're supposed to be, and they are not living up to that at all.
Do you ever think that we can live in a world where healing can be a priority? Yeah,
I think that's what we're trying to do. My work and is to create that, as we obtain resources, because for us it's like the folks that seem to have all the resources are the ones that are like the most unconscious. They're like the folks that got all these institutions and run stuff. It's like they're the gatekeepers of this thing that's like impenetrable. But where I have faith we're going to have the resources we need when we're supposed to have them, and we're going to be able to create some real institutions of healing that are just a total game changer, and just totally change the culture, change that just that entire thing. Because I was putting doctors on, like I was making them uncomfortable asking them questions. They're like, "Who is this guy?" Because I was just like, so what's this and that, and and they're just like, because you're like you're saying they don't know any of this, like it's
no,
just
they don't.
And there's so much it's just so much potential, and I do think that we're going to get into that mode where as we learn how to leverage things like the private membership association dynamics and obtain resources and this kind of stuff, we're going to be able to set up these institutions ourselves and create the templates and the models for people, for around the world, give other people the tools to do exactly what we just did, and put that in different places around the world. And that'll be the game changer, because people just want results. They don't care, all the other stuff. And it's like, when you get to that point where you're given this death sentence, you have a couple choices. You can sort of go along with that, or you can try something else and go down this path. And that's where a lot of people end up finding us. They're really late in the game, is like kind of close to their deathbed, or, had a really bad diagnosis. And then now they're ready. Now they're open to read the book. It's like now they're, and I'll have people that had the seed planted years ago, like in the 70s or so. I mean, I had a lot of people like, man, somebody told me about the diet back in the 70s or the 80s. And I thought about it, but then, I kept doing this. And then now that they're really going through something, they come back to it and they're like, I wish I'd have did this 30 years ago. Cause I wouldn't be going through what I'm going through now. And but it's a lot of there's a lot of work to do, a lot of work to do, a lot of consciousness to raise, but that's why I appreciate you out there, just being out there and not being scared to share, like, hey, this is what I do, if you ask here, just because I know a lot of folks that you just get beat down so much for, like I said, it's getting a little better now, but you get beat down. You tell people like, I don't eat meat, I don't do this. And I would always, and I would try to, and I never try to come across like where some folks were, where it's like, oh, you need to do, I'm just like real cool with it. Like, hey, whatever, this is what I do. It works for me kind of thing. But people still be really uncomfortable. It's like,
they do.
You don't eat meat.
Yeah,
and,
they do.
Like you don't eat like Chael said it, and not even chicken. Like for some reason they always go to that. Like not even chicken. Like why would that be the one that would be the exception?
Not even nothing. They can't understand it. I mean, a lot of people just are so ingrained with the mindset of just the whole protein myth, and it's all about the protein. If you're not getting the right amount of protein, and they think that the protein is an actual viable nutrient that your body, you know what I'm saying, like it's something that your body don't make on its own. It's crazy, you know what I'm saying? It's crazy. But I think that with more and more people getting exposed to it, and having an understanding, like every time I say I don't eat meat, people are like, oh, why'd you watch that stupid movie Game Changers? I'm like, nah, it was way before the movie Game Changers, but they don't know how to take it.
Yeah. Yeah. It's it is, but what I think, which there's gonna be some of those folks that you reach out to and you tell, like, in a number of years they're gonna go through something and they're gonna give you that call, like, hey, well, what was that you was talking about? And they're gonna check it out because and I don't know. So like, how did you heal some of your past injuries? Like, did you have anything that never really healed properly, but now it kind of worked itself out?
I had a really bad knee. I had 2 ACL surgeries, and I didn't really do the rehab that well, or as well as I should have. So it never really, the muscle never grew back on a leg like it did before. Like before, my legs were that thing. You know what I'm saying? And I was the smallest guy, but I had really thick legs, so it was a tool that I used. So when I lost that, I lost my ability to move like I was able to move. So once I started eating, the fruits and the mucusless diet, my knee started to just like heal up. I wasn't having like my knee pop out of joint anymore with, felt like I felt like a meniscus tear. Like it just felt a lot stronger, and, just over time, like, I used to have a really bad shoulder to the point where I thought I was going to have shoulder surgery, but now that doesn't even bother me no more. So there's some ailments that I had that used to just like really bother me, nagging injuries in my hip, a bunch of them, I'm saying? I fought for over 20 years. So you can just imagine the compound damage that I've done. And that's just what I've done in fighting, not including the fact that I've been competing in sports since I was like 10 years old.
Right.
So I had 30 odd years of just like, just beating the hell out of my body. Yeah. And to be able to just turn things around with just changing my diet has been one of the most amazing things that I've ever experienced. Like if I wasn't experiencing this myself, I'll say, oh, he's lying. You know what I'm saying? I wouldn't believe me.
Yeah. Yep. That's the thing. And, when people start understanding how fasting works and stuff, then they actually do break a bone or something. It's like, okay, let me fast and this, and then people's bones are healing so rapidly compared, just with knowing these simple principles that we talk about. And but yeah, that's really as I'm glad to hear that, because that's what I suspected. That I was like, man, I bet he's had some old injuries that just wouldn't heal, and then all of a sudden it just started improving. And
like Wolverine right now.
Yeah, right. Yeah, exactly. And so now are you teaching self-defense? Is that something that you do now? I think I saw a video on somewhere where you was training some folks.
So so I do this this weapons tactical training, and we do like what to do if you find yourself in a street fight confrontation, that kind of thing, and also if you carry a weapon, we got a bunch of stuff on that too. But I mean, it's I got a really good instructor, like this guy. He's like the real life Liam Neeson, you know what I'm saying, from the movie Taken, like a straight up like that guy was made after this guy's character, So he's a really good teacher, and he just kind of wants to, he wants to turn the skills that he has, because he was a special ops guy, and he wanted to turn the skills that he had into something that can help and benefit, vulnerable people, or people who maybe, just because of the temperature of the world today, you know what I'm saying? And especially in South Florida, you always, everybody know how crazy South Florida could be, right? Or Florida in general. Yeah. Florida in general can be crazy. So, it's good, and it gives people the kind of confidence they need, because when you feel like you're confident in any given situation, then you're going to make a better logical decision on things that you may do in a very stressful situation. So, we do like a lot of training, a lot of scenarios and things like that, but it's made me feel very comfortable. Not like I wouldn't have been comfortable anyways, but I
Yeah.
mean, it's just giving me, the different kind of understanding. It's kind of, I feel like when we get done with the program, it's going to be something that we can package and let people in on and kind of help them out and, in different kind of ways, and just be prepared physically, because you don't always have, not everybody's a fighter in the physical sense, but
Right.
I believe that everybody should know how to defend themselves in the physical sense.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah. Totally agree with that. And I got so I don't know, this is like a question that I wanted to ask somebody since I was like 15 years old. It's like it's this move that I learned a long time ago, but I'm curious of why I don't really see it in MMA, because there was back when I was like in high school, you used to get those like the VHS tapes of like the Jeet Kune Do and all that, so I did that, and I had a cat that trained like it was like Thai kickboxing, and we actually had these little fight club in high school. We bring gloves and be at lunchtime, go box and kickbox and stuff. But I used to do this book, and it worked like really well, and just messing around kind of thing. But and it's called here. I'm gonna bring this up. This was the cat that had these videos we used to watch. It's Paul.
What's that?
And so it's the straight blast. Now it looks weird, but to me it makes sense. I'm just surprised. Like, so what is there a reason cats don't just stay away from that? Is there, or is it that something that people just don't study, or is it like there's too, you leave yourself open to too much if you were to just throw that in there? It's like that forward kind of Wing Chun forward blast type of vibe.
Yeah. So with that, 100%. I'm not gonna say that you may not be able to catch somebody with that.
Yeah.
Like, you may be able to catch somebody with that, but the problem with what he's doing is the fact that all this guy has to do is just swing. And maybe he may swing out of desperation, and he's gonna knock the hell out of him. You know what I'm saying? Because he's still right on the train tracks. If the other guy on the train, he'll get run over by that track. So with MMA, with any of the combative sports, you want to hit, then get off the line. So doing too many combinations in a row where you walking somebody forward that, you open yourself up to a nasty counter. You always gotta keep in mind that, okay, whatever I throw can come back at me. So I gotta throw, move off the line slightly. And then if I do throw a combination, it's gonna be when I see this guy starts to, he's starting to cover up. Maybe I throw a 1, he blocks it, but then a 2, it gets through, and then it kind of hits him. So now he's got to cover up. Now I can hit punch 3 and 4 without having to worry about a retaliation, But if I'm trying to just straight blast like that, I'm gonna get countered.
You're gonna get I'm
gonna get countered, man.
Yeah,
I'm gonna get countered. But you know what though? Here's the thing though. Something like that could maybe work because it's so unorthodox for like one time.
One time,
One time you get somebody with it, it's like, what? Like, not saying this is like a comparable move, but one time Fabricio Verdun was fighting Travis Brown, and he started to fight off with like one of those Bruce Lee high kicks that Bruce Lee does at the end of Enter the Dragon. When he kicked that dude in the face, he jumped up and did like one of those kicks and just like came, and it caught Buddy in the face, kicked it right in the face. But like, if you see the kick, you like, there's no way that kick is gonna land. But it was just so unexpected, that it hit.
That's interesting. There's another thing in those videos. They used to talk about the guy, or Chris Clugson, he was always talking about the low kicks, and then do it like the Thai kicks and kicking real low and like just dropping people with the low kicks. And but then sometimes the commentators, when as it's happening more and more in MMA, it's like it seemed like cats were really surprised by it. And I'm like, they've been talking about those kicks since the 90s, like, and it's just now kind of catching on.
Yep. So that's the thing. Like, there's a lot of like the leg kicks. You know what I'm saying? Like, that's something that people are really starting to get. I mean, they've always appreciated how hard a leg kick can be, but the low calf kick, oh my gosh, it complete like there. When you fight, you get your adrenaline going. Your adrenaline's just so ramped up that you don't really feel a lot. You don't really feel a lot at all. Like a straight blast to the face, it just feels like when you get punched in the face, you rarely feel the pain of it. All it is like, you ever watch one of those movies and the camera shakes? That's like it's just like the camera shook. But there's something about a leg kick, a lower leg kick, that can bring you out of that mindset and just be like, yo, what the hell was that? Like, you be thinking like, yo, what was that? You know, because it's just, that just brings pain immediately. So, and then the next day, oh my gosh, if you get kicked in your lower leg, oh my gosh, say you took like maybe, I'm gonna say 3 or 4, you're gonna be down and out for probably about a week. Probably about a week you may feel it, bad. Like, there's times where my legs were so bruised up from getting kicked in it that not only would I pee blood, but I would get kind of sick after the fight was over, because that's all the extra blood that's in my body from getting, kicked, the bruises in my leg. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So it made me kind of run a fever a bit.
Wow. Yeah. Like, yeah, it makes sense with the body just responding, like going through elimination, like, what's, and
because it's getting rid of all those, like, because it hits like different lymph nodes and stuff like that. So
yeah,
that's just sewage just pumping into the body, back into the blood, making you feel,
yeah.
But
that's,
man,
that's what's up. And so with the so is that, can people enroll in that, or is that something you're kind of working on now?
Yeah, we're working on it right now with the self-defense. We want to eventually get it, for the fact that people can get it digitally, so they can get it around the world. You know what I'm saying? So yeah. But I mean, we have seminars that we do and stuff too. But I mean, we want to make it open for everybody who's able to really participate. Yeah, man, it's pretty cool, man. I've been I've been involved in a few different projects that I've been working on. I've been working on this one project. We just launched last month. It's called Umbo, which is the little cap on top of the bell of the Umbo, and on the mushroom. I'm sorry, on the mushroom. And we sell functional mushrooms, so not psychedelic, but lion's mane, reishi, turkey tail, that kind of thing, and because mushrooms are like the best at neurogenesis, you know what I'm saying? Like reestablishing neural health, like a big part of my my healing and things like that was incorporating mushrooms into my diet. It's a whole food kingdom that a lot of people don't really pay attention to, but the neurological benefits for what it does for your body, is probably the best neural builder that's available to get. You know what I'm saying? And it's all natural. Mushrooms are so good. I know a guy who started to do rehab because he had feeling. He's a quadriplegic, and he did some mushrooms, and he started to feel sensations in the areas that was paralyzed, and eventually he started using mushrooms to during therapy, and he eventually taught himself how to walk again.
Wow!
So it's crazy how the circuitry could reboot itself after all those, after that kind of trauma. But the doctor told him, he said, he said the neurons and things like that, they rebuild a new pathway to get to and deliver the system. So it's quite amazing with that, And I'm also working on another project, is called Metatodes. And Metatodes.
Yeah. Is that a crypto project?
Yeah, it's a crypto project. But I mean, the primary aim with the whole crypto project is, bring some awareness to mental health, and it's a good way to have that conversation about mental health and, find a place where people, that struggle or have struggled with it can have a conversation about it, and can talk about, some of the struggles that happen with mental health. I mean, there's times where, I struggled with my mental health, and being able to, have a group that I can lean on is key, or having somebody you can talk to is key when it comes to being able to let go of some of the things that may be bothering you, especially with everything going on that has to do with, COVID and everything. It really put people into that vulnerable state, or really let them know how vulnerable they are, because it took so much control away from people, and it made them force some issues in themselves that they may have not had to deal with. So, being able to give back to that cause, and being able to, find a way to build a community around, helping people out in those kind of areas is really what I'm hoping that this whole project becomes,
Nice. Yeah. So you donate, that kind of is one of those, like, the proceeds.
Part of the proceeds goes to something that helps and benefits people with mental health.
Yeah, nice. Yeah. So where can folks find you at? What's your where would you?
Well, they find me Rashad Evans on Instagram, and I'll be on there. But I'm also on Twitter too, same handle. So you can find me anywhere on those platforms, and I'll chop it up. I'll answer back. You know what I'm saying? I'm not gonna be a dick like most people are. I'll answer back.
Yeah, that's what's up. So you have any final kind of some words of wisdom and inspiration for the brothers and sisters out there?
I would just say, those on the journey, and thinking about going on a journey, for one, those on a journey, stay with it, and just find strength in your testimony. You know what I'm saying? If there's ever a weakness in it, just find strength in that testimony on your why that you even came down the path in the first place. And those thinking about getting on it, I would say give it a try, because there's nothing better that you can do for yourself than this. This is the gift that will keep on giving every single time you take a breath, and being able to give back to yourself in this capacity by watching what you put in it, and just really being conscious on another level can raise your life in ways that you may never even foresee right now, but it to be seen and not really to be told, because at the end of the day, it's hard to really give people the sincerity that I feel unless they have that experience. So I mean, you just got to try it. You know what I'm saying? Prove me wrong.
Yeah, most definitely. Hey man, it's been a privilege and a pleasure having you on the podcast today. And yeah, man, it'd be great to see you at Ehret Day. I'll plant that seed over over there. People keep sending me messages, so I should tell everybody. So we are going to have the Professor Arnold 4th annual Professor Arnold Ehret Day celebration is going to be July 30th and 31st up here in Columbus, Ohio. We got a nice little spot this year.
Man, I might try to come up for that, man. Shoot.
Yeah, man. That'd be great, man. That would be great. And
for sure, man. Yeah, thank you for having me on, man. I appreciate it. I've been a big fan for a while, and I want to thank you, man, because you've been a big part of me being able to make this transformation in my life, man. I feel like I've known you, and I've had this conversation with you because I watch so many of your videos on YouTube, and I started following you on IG and stuff like that. So it's really cool to finally sit and have a conversation with you and officially meet you. And I've been a big fan for a while, and thank you for being that beacon of light that many of us need in times of this transformation. And in general, man, you are a beautiful spirit, and I appreciate you, man.
Oh man, appreciate that. Thank you so much for that. And yeah, so this has been wonderful. This has been absolutely wonderful, and I know that the folks that tuned in are very appreciative of your time and really just sharing everything that you shared. And so definitely appreciate that. Everybody go check Rashad out on Instagram and Twitter, and those links are down in the description below. And so yeah, this is it's time to transform this planet. You know, we have the consciousness, we have the tools, the resources, all these things are here. It's just time to really do this work. And once we start going down this path, we truly can just change this planet, remove so much pain and suffering that is just totally unnecessary. And so I appreciate everybody for that work, getting this word out, and we will transform this world together. So until next time,
We are
peace,
mucus-free.
love, and breath.
We are mucus-free. We are mucus-free.